The sun dipped low over the quiet suburbs of Seattle, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns and tidy driveways of Maple Street. The air carried the faint scent of freshly cut grass and the distant hum of a lawnmower. It was a typical Thursday evening in late spring, the kind where families settled into their routines. Dinners simmering on stoves, kids finishing homework, and the world outside moving at a leisurely pace. But on this particular evening, something was about to disrupt the calm. Mark Thompson, a 32-year-old architect with a knack for forgetting deadlines, hurried down the sidewalk. His light blue button-up shirt was slightly wrinkled, the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, and his dark jeans clung to his legs from the day's heat. In his left hand, he clutched a manila folder stuffed with blueprints for a project that was already 2 days late. His boss had been clear. Deliver the revised plans to the client by 5 p.m., or the firm could lose the contract. It was now 4:57 p.m., and Mark was still 3 blocks from the client's house. He quickened his pace, his brown leather shoes scuffing against the pavement. His mind raced. Traffic had been a nightmare, and a spilled coffee had delayed him further. The folder felt heavier with every step, as if the weight of his mistake was physically pressing down on him. He glanced at his watch, muttering under his breath, "Come on, Mark, don't screw this up." Across the street, a sleek black Mercedes sedan idled at the curb. The driver's side window was rolled down, and a woman leaned slightly toward it, her sharp eyes scanning the neighborhood. Elena Vasquez, 35, was a private investigator with a reputation for getting answers no one else could. Her navy blazer and crisp white blouse gave her a polished, professional air, but the faint scar above her left eyebrow hinted at a life that wasn't always so tidy. She'd been parked there for 20 minutes, watching the house at the end of the block. A modest 2-story with beige siding and a for sale sign staked in the yard. Elena's client, a wealthy tech executive named Richard Harlan, had hired her to dig into his wife's activities. He suspected she was hiding something, maybe money, maybe an affair. The house on Maple Street was the latest lead, a property tied to an offshore account Elena had traced through a labyrinth of shell companies. She'd been staking it out, waiting for someone to show up. And now here was Mark, barreling down the sidewalk with a folder that looked suspiciously like it contained more than just architectural plans. Elena's instincts kicked in. She leaned out the window slightly, her dark hair catching the breeze. "Hey," she called, her voice firm but not loud enough to draw attention from the neighbors. "You there, with the folder?" Mark froze, his heart skipping a beat. He turned his head, catching sight of the woman in the car. Her gaze was intense, like she could see right through him. "Me?" he asked, pointing to himself, his voice cracking slightly. "Yeah, you," Elena said, her tone clipped. She gestured toward the passenger seat. "Get in. We need to talk." Mark blinked, clutching the folder tighter. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" "I'm kind of in a hurry." "Now," Elena said, her voice leaving no room for argument. There was something about her, confidence maybe, or the way her hand rested near the glove compartment, like she was ready for anything. Mark hesitated, his mind screaming that this was a bad idea, but his feet were already moving toward the car. He didn't know why. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the fear that she knew something about the folder he was carrying. He slid into the passenger seat, the leather creaking under him. The car smelled of vanilla air freshener and something metallic, like gun oil. Elena didn't waste time. She pulled away from the curb, her hands steady on the wheel. "What's in the folder?" she asked, not looking at him. Mark's throat went dry. "Blueprints for a client. I'm an architect." Elena snorted, glancing at him sidelong. "Blueprints, huh? For the house at the end of the block? The one with the for sale sign?" Mark's stomach dropped. "How did you... Look, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just delivering these for my firm. My boss is going to kill me if I don't get them to the client in..." He checked his watch. 2 minutes. Elena's lips twitched, not quite a smile. "Your client's name, Richard Harlan?" Mark's jaw tightened. He hadn't been told the client's name, just the address. His boss had been cagey, saying it was a sensitive project and to hand the folder directly to the owner. "I don't know," he said slowly. "Maybe." "Why?" Elena didn't answer right away. She turned onto a side street, the Mercedes gliding smoothly despite the tension in the air. Because Richard Harlan's wife, Claire, owns that house. And she's been moving money through it for months. Money her husband doesn't know about. Mark stared at her, his mind struggling to keep up. Wait, what? I'm just an architect. I design buildings. I don't know anything about money laundering or... Relax, Elena cut in, her voice calmer now. I don't think you're in on it. But that folder, it's not just blueprints, is it? Mark looked down at the manila folder in his lap. He'd been so focused on getting it delivered that he hadn't thought to question why it was sealed with red tape and marked confidential. His boss had handed it to him that morning with a vague warning. Don't open it, just deliver it. Now with Elena's eyes boring into him, he felt a prickle of unease. I haven't looked inside, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Good, Elena said. Don't. Not yet. She pulled into a parking lot behind a strip mall, the neon sign of a coffee shop flickering in the fading light. She turned off the engine and faced him. Here's the deal. I've been tracking Claire Harlan for weeks. That house is a front. She's selling it to funnel money to an account in the Cayman Islands. Your firm's been hired to make the sale look legit, probably to inflate the value with fake renovations. Mark's head spun. My firm? No way. We're a small outfit. We don't get mixed up in that kind of thing. Elena raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? Because your boss, Daniel Reese, has a gambling problem. And Claire Harlan's been paying off his debts. Mark felt like the ground was shifting beneath him. Daniel, his mentor for 5 years, always stressed but kind, drowning in debt. It didn't add up. Or did it? The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way he'd been pushing Mark to take on more special projects lately. What do you want from me? Mark asked, his voice steadier now. Elena leaned back, her eyes narrowing. I need to know what's in that folder. If it's what I think it is, fake permits, inflated cost estimates, it's evidence. Enough to nail Claire and maybe your boss. But I need you to trust me. Trust you? Mark laughed, a nervous edge to it. You kidnapped me off the street. Borrowed, Elena corrected, a faint smirk playing on her lips. Big difference. Mark looked at the folder, then at Elena. The clock was ticking, 4:59 p.m. If he didn't deliver the folder, he'd lose his job. But if Elena was right, delivering it could make him complicit in something illegal. He thought of his apartment, the stack of bills on his counter, the promotion he'd been chasing for a year. Then he thought of Daniel, who'd given him a chance when no one else would. Open it, Elena said, her voice soft but firm. You need to know what you're carrying. Mark's fingers trembled as he broke the red tape. He opened the folder, his breath catching. Inside were blueprints, yes, but also a stack of documents, permits with forged signatures, cost estimates triple the norm, and a contract with Claire Harlan's name at the bottom. His heart sank. Elena was right. What now? He asked, his voice hollow. Elena started the car again. Now we take this to someone who can do something about it. But first, you're going to help me get into that house. Claire's there tonight, and I need to know what she's planning next. Mark stared out the window as the strip mall faded behind them. The quiet suburbs of Seattle had never felt so dangerous. He was in over his head, but for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was doing something that mattered. With Elena at the wheel and the folder on his lap, he nodded. Okay, let's do this. The Mercedes sped toward Maple Street, the night closing in around them.